Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we're all set up now and we're ready to lay down some paint in the second part of this video series. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'll show you what I got set up and then we'll start spraying. Alright, one more thing before we get going, because I know you're mainly watching this channel to see how the Fuji Q4 spray gun works. So I've got it set up. Hopefully you can see that. Ready to go. I've got the turbine set up behind me. It's actually, the hose runs through a cat door and it's set up in the other room, and we'll hear just how loud it is. Ready? I'm not sure you can hear that or not. It's in the other room. It's running, it's ready to go. You can see, you can comfortably hear my voice, and I can open the garage door. I can paint, I can do whatever I want without waking up the neighbors. So that's the beauty of this system. Not only the way it sprays, but the way it sounds too. Let's turn it off. I think that's, I'm not sure it's whisper quiet, but it's certainly quiet enough that you can have a comfortable conversation with it running in the background. So that's good enough for me. I got my tarps on the wall. I've got some plastic on top of that, so that the paint doesn't get on the tarps, because trust me, if it gets on there, it's just going to start flaking, falling off, and get all over your nice finish that you just spent so much time to put down. We've got the turntable set up at a comfortable height to spray. I've already pre-staged all the cabinet parts here. I know where I'm going to put them. I've practiced, and I know exactly what I'm going to do and how I'm going to move, which is pretty important when you're working in such a confined space. Over here on the table, I've got some water set up. I've got a wash bin set up to clean parts. I've got some clean water here ready to go to clean up the gun. Got my primer, got my breathing protection, measuring cups. I've got towels pre-laid out already. Some more in backup ready to go. Got all my cleaning supplies, got my filter, got my gun, and I've got the hose down on the floor ready to go. I've already practiced moving around, so I know I can move where I need to go. I'm not going to be tripping on things. I've got some lighting set up here, not only for filming, but that also helps me see what I'm doing to make sure I'm putting down a good finish. I've got the trash can there, which I'm going to spray into at the end to clean up the gun. And I've got the cabinets ready to move over on their dollies so that I can move them around, get them painted, and slide them out of the way. So let's start painting. Alright, so we're going to mix up some of the primer. I've got a Ford cup here. I have actually found that this is junk. Well, not junk, but if I mix to meet the requirements of time through the Ford cup, I end up thinning things way too much, and the gun really doesn't need that. So I found best to just measure out how much I need and mix from there and just trust it. So I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of water per pint of primer. That's about a 12% thinning, and I found that works pretty well. It will take a lot longer to run through the Ford cup than recommended, but you know, it still works, and it gets good coverage and sticks pretty well. So we'll mix that up. You want to stir your paint first, get everything mixed up before you mix it in with your water and start thinning it. Otherwise, you got too many solids at the bottom. You got to get that all moving around in there. you see the first coat came out pretty good. Nice even coverage. You can see there's a little bit coming through. You know, it's going to need a second coat, but that's okay. It is definitely a lot easier to put on a second coat than it would be to sand off any runs or things like that, and you know, have to start from scratch. So you want to put it on light and just do extra coats. You can see it's pretty smooth most places, except for the end grain. So I'm just going to take a sanding sponge and knock that down to get it nice and smooth before the second coat. Even though we sprayed this down with water and sanded it, it's really just, the grain's going to raise on the first coat of primer anyway, which is really why it's important to do the primer and then the paint, so you can get a nice substrate underneath to take the paint properly. It's a lot cheaper to put on extra primer than it is to put on extra paint. The gallon of primer costs less than a quart of paint. So yep, we'll just knock all these down and then we'll get the second coat going. There we go, nice and smooth. And, you know, I'm not going to worry about how that looks too much. Once you get the paint on there, plus it'll be inside the cabinet, no one will ever really notice that. You really want to focus on the faces and get these nice and smooth so that when the light hits it, it looks nice. And get these inside edges, which, you know, again, that's kind of an end grain there. Not really an end grain, but it's not face grain. So that raises up a little bit. It's real easy just to come back and smooth those down a little bit. And feel it as you go. You can feel with your finger less than 1 thou, so you'll know when it's going to be smooth to your finger, it's going to be smooth to your eye. There we go. Alright, we're going to do all of the faces and we'll do the cabinets as well, just like that.